So join us on a journey as we unravel the rich history behind 9 of your favorite Christmas traditions. My favorite Christmas tradition from our family, it'd be real hard to pick between two, but the first one is listening to our Christmas albums. Yes, vinyl albums. While we decorate the Christmas tree, we have Bing Crosby. Uh, there's just all kinds that we have, but we love those. I even have a Partridge Family Christmas album that we listen to. So we have a lot of fun with those. But we decorate the tree, we listen to the albums, and then that evening we do it in the evening, and we turn all the lights off, and we just have the white lights of the tree, and we listen to the music. Half of us drink hot chocolate, half of us drink eggnog, and we just enjoy the tree, and we talk about the Christmas past, things of Christmas past. Every year since the boys were little, since they were born actually, uh, we gave them a new Christmas ornament to represent something special from their life, from that year. Our tree is covered with those precious memories, and when they left to begin their own families, I let them pick out several of their own ornaments that they wanted to take to put on their trees. And my husband and I still do this every year as a couple. We will buy a special ornament that represents some special event or the trend of the year in our life. My second favorite Christmas tradition is our Christmas movies. 2 weeks before Christmas, we start watching through our family list of holiday favorites. We have finger foods, our favorite beverages. We laugh, we talk, and some of the movies I cry. Okay, mostly I cried because I'm like the only girl until my sons got married. But I was the only girl, so I could get away with it. But on Christmas Eve, we watch Patrick Stewart's A Christmas Carol. We turn the Christmas tree lights on. We have our hot chocolate or our eggnog, and even when it's just the two of us, we do this same thing, and we watch the Christmas Carol with Patrick Stewart. When I was thinking about Christmas traditions and writing this post, I was very interested in some of the history behind these traditions. Gift giving, uh, let's think about that one first. The tradition started with the three wise men bringing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh to the baby Jesus. And since this is the holiday season, I would say this is a great place to start. St. Nicholas is known for being the persona of Santa Claus, and the stocking stuffing tradition can be traced back to him to the 4th century. The children who were 10 years of age usually had to work to help support the family, but he loved children. And so he would give them homemade food, clothes, and helpful gifts for them. Um, for those of us who received oranges in our stockings when we were growing up, oranges and peppermint sticks, he started this tradition. So in those days, of course, an orange was a rare thing to have. It was a treat from another part of the world. So we always put oranges in the boys' stockings. I'm not sure why. I still do that, but because we can go to the grocery store and buy oranges, but we do it as just kind of a way of reminding ourselves. According to most records that I could read and find, he saw the children's stockings hangings, and yes, boys wore long stockings back then. So he decided to leave presents in them so that that child would be sure to receive the gift. And so the children began hanging their stockings and hoping that he would come by that night and leave them something. And so that's where that began. The Christmas wreath. The wreath has been used as a symbol of power and strength, dating as far back as ancient Greece. They even wore wreaths on their heads. So the harvest wreaths were likely the predecessor to the Christmas wreath. Um, they would hang on the front doors, the harvest wreaths would. So since evergreen wreaths symbolized persistence and everlasting life, they were often used at funerals back then. And we just translated it into a Christmas wreath. And I read back in the 1400s that on the farms, it was when they would bring the Ulog in, it was part of the tradition that they would cut holly and evergreen trees and bring them in, lay them on mantle and across the beams of the house. It not only made it smell good, but it created that atmosphere of the holiday season. The Christmas tree. Now, today we decorate an evergreen tree. Some of them are artificial and some of them are live. We put lights on, we put on ornaments, tinsel, popcorn, candy cane. We don't do paper chains anymore now that the kids aren't making them. But we have all kinds of every family has their favorite decorations, So each tree is a reflection of the family and who puts it up. Our ancestors used a real tree and they often decorated it with edibles. They would string sugar cookies, popcorn, different candies they could make and could thread. They would hang those. The first recorded evidence of a decorated Christmas tree comes from Germany. A German craftsman uh, gilded it during the Renaissance, and after the Protestant Reformation, trees saw a surge in popularity. And it was not long after the Reformation when the Europeans began using Christmas trees with special decorations to adorn them. Straight white candy canes were once the most popular decorations. But during the 17th century, a craftsman created white sticks of candy in the shape of a shepherd's hook. Uh, a choir master in Cologne Cathedral in Germany, and I hope I said that correctly. I apologize if I did not. He came up with it. And in 1847, they used the candy cane to decorate a Christmas tree in Wooster, Ohio. A German immigrant did. And so 50 years later, um, from 1847 to 50 years later, Bob McCormick of Albany, Georgia, made the candy cane as a treat for his friends and family. And his brother in law, Gregory, invented a machine in 1950 to automate the production of the candy cane. So, growing up, I was told the candy cane symbol was the color white represents Christ's purity and the red represented his blood. And the presence of the three red stripes around a candy cane represented the Holy Trinity. Now, whether that's the original design of Mr. McCormick, I don't know, but that is what my family embraced and taught. And when the boys were growing up, we always put candy canes on the tree. I still put them on there, and my sons put them on their trees. So that's a great little family tradition. Christmas carols. The first Christmas carol was said to be sung in France or Germany, and actually Italy's in there in the 13th century. So way back yonder. These carols were enthusiastically sung at community events, festivals, church celebrations. The modern practice of going door to door likely has something to do with the root for carol, which means a circular dance. So people going from door to door is supposed to represent that. That's just what I read. Mistletoe. Now, mistletoe is a parasite. I know, but it's a parasitic plant. It absorbs nutrients from the tree. So we like to shoot it down and get rid of it on the farm when we see it. But since there isn't a lot of live greenery in the wintertime, mistletoe with its white berries made its way into the homes to be included as one of the happy decorations. And it was commonly hung at Christmas because, like I said, there wasn't a lot of green then. And it remained hung all year and it was replaced by a fresh piece the next Christmas. How mistletoe became associated with kissing is hard to discover. But this Christmas tradition was first recorded in 16th century England, and mistletoe is very toxic to humans and animals. So be careful with it. It can cause diarrhea, stomach pain. Yet somehow it made it into a romantic favorite centerpiece of Christmas decorations. So there you go. Poinsettias. Now, poinsettias are a favorite among many Christmas traditions. They're named after Joel Poinsett. He was a U.S. ambassador to Mexico, and he brought the plant back to America in 1828. Now, one legend says that a young Mexican boy was on his way to visit the village nativity scene, and he realized he had no gift for the Christ child. And he gathered a bunch of green leafy branches and he found along the road and brought them to the church. And the other children mocked him. But when the leaves were laid in the manger, a beautiful star shaped flower appeared on each branch. That's just the legend of the poinsettia. Um, but there are ways that you can keep the poinsettia alive year round. They can actually grow into trees, and we have an article in the Farmer's Lamp that can help you with that if you're interested in keeping your poinsettias alive. In the South, at Christmas, uh, the beginning of December, people begin to bring, around Thanksgiving, people begin to bring their poinsettias into the church and they decorate the church with them. And then on the last service, and the poinsettia represents uh, a loved one who isn't there with them, a loved one who has passed on, or just because they want to honor somebody with the poinsettia. And so they leave those through in the church throughout the season. And then on the last service before Christmas, you can pick up your poinsettia and take it home, or you can give it to a loved one or share it with someone. But that's a great tradition here in the South, and I love that. Christmas cards. Sir Henry Cole is credited with creating the first Christmas card. He was the director of London's Victoria and Albert Museum, and he commissioned an artist to create the first drawing in 1843. So the card had three panels, and the center panel depicted a family enjoying Christmas festivities. And the first Christmas card was inscribed with the message, "A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you." So there you go. That's why we started sending Christmas cards. Christmas pudding. Now, we don't really do Christmas puddings much here in the U.S., but a Christmas or plum pudding is a traditional end of the British Christmas dinner. However, I don't know of anyone who makes it quite like it was made back then, but it originated in the 14th century. It was from a porridge called frumenty. I hope I said that correctly, and I apologize if I did not. But it was made of beef and mutton and raisins and currants and prunes and wines and spices, and it was often more like a soup and was eaten as a fasting meal in preparation for the Christmas feasting. But in 1595, it slowly changed into the plum pudding, and having been thickened with eggs and breadcrumbs and then everything else that was already in it, the dried fruits and the currants and the wines, um, and it became customary Christmas dessert. In 1650, Victorian times, the Christmas pudding had changed into something like what they have today. And I've not had one, but I would be very interesting. I love it in the movies when they bring out the Christmas pudding. We talked about the Christmas Carol that we watch every Christmas Eve. You know, when she brings out the Christmas pudding and lights it on fire, and everyone, this is the best Christmas pudding you've ever made. I just love that scene. So I wouldn't mind having one. Yule log. The custom of bringing a Yule log in goes back to medieval times. It was actually a Nordic tradition. Yule is the name of the old winter solstice festivals in Scandinavia and in other parts of Europe and Germany. I think the northern parts. But the Yule log was originally an entire tree. It was a dead tree that had been carefully chosen, and it was cut down in preparation specifically for this use. And there was a great ceremony. There was dancing and singing and a big meal around bringing the Yule log into the home. And the largest end of the tree was put into the fireplace, and the rest of the tree, yes, stuck out into the room. And as it would burn, and it would be lit from, this is very interesting, it would be lit from the remains of last year's Yule log. You put that in the fire, and once it was going, then you would put the tree in, the biggest end of the tree in, and it would burn, and you would gradually feed the tree in until the 12 days of Christmas were passed. And then it was really important. The relighting process was carried out by someone who had had a bath and who had washed their hands, and they were dressed nicely. It was a really big thing for them to light the Yule log. So that's very interesting. It was if the Yule log was left after the 12th night, it was kept safe in the house. It wasn't taken outside and thrown on the woodpile, or it was kept safe in the house until the following Christmas. So you can also, if you enjoy Christmas stories and Christmas traditions, on our Voices of Heritage series, we have 2 Christmas stories there. In my grandmother's voice, my grandmother and grandfather's voice, they share the Christmas memories there. So we hope that you've enjoyed learning the history behind these 9 Christmas traditions. Share with us your own Christmas traditions, things that your family does. We love hearing from you, and we wish you the very merriest of holidays.